good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, everyone, everywhere, depending on where and when you are joining Africa Online TV. Well, it is a beautiful summer day outside my door. Nice sunshine, nice breeze. It's a great day for cooking out and eating outside al fresco. What's it looking like outside your door? Today is the last Sunday of the month of July. Can you believe it? It's almost over. But we have a health topic on the fourth Sunday. And this one is very important, especially since the weather is so warm. And it is a time when you'll spend a lot of time out on your deck. You'll spend a lot of time out at the pool. Maybe you're going to the shore, to the beach, and you're laying out in the sun. We cannot forget about the hydration. You forget about drinking water. You forget about putting enough fluids in. And we're not talking about including lemonade and soda as your liquid. It does not count towards your liquid count, to your water count. So today we're going to be talking about dehydration and how important it is that we not be dehydrated. Now, dehydration comes when our body uses or loses most of the fluid that it takes in. And for the majority of Americans and the majority of Africans as well, they do not take in enough water to keep them from being dehydrated. But we're going to talk about how to not be dehydrated from now until the rest of your life. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to my co-host, Professor Nia Sung, for the editorial of the day. How are you down there in Baltimore, Maryland area?
Thank
What's
you
looking
very
like in your
much.
neck of the
Doing
woods?
fine and just enjoying the summer weather. It is not as hot as it has been the past few weeks, but it is comfortable enough for you to go out in your shirt sleeves. You are welcome to the program. That said, I like to start today with this quote. It is supposed to be the quote of the day from Betty White. You might have known her. You can
Yes.
lie you can lie to anyone in the world and even get away with it, perhaps. But when you are alone and look into your own eyes in the mirror, you can't sidestep the truth. Always be sure you can meet those eyes directly. Betty White saying that in her book, If You Ask Me. And of course, I know you won't. That said, as Ambassador Lisa just said, it is the 26th day of July, and it is the 207th day of 226. That means that we have 158 days left in 2026. It is the 30th day of the 30th Sunday, not the 30th day. It is the 30th Sunday of 2026 on the 31st week of 2026. Today is the 36th day of summer. And as Alyssa, we have 59 days to go before we get into autumn or fall. It is World Day for Grandparents and the Elderly. Established by Pope Francis in 2021, the World Day for Grandparents and the Elderly is celebrated every July 26th. The Pope chose this day because it coincides with the liturgical memorial of Saints Joachim and Anne, the grandparents of Jesus Christ. The day claims, or rather, the day aims to recognize the vital role of grandparents and the elderly people in our communities, in our families, and in our church or churches. It emphasizes their contributions in passing on faith, wisdom, and traditions to younger generations and addresses the social and emotional challenges faced by older adults. Such challenges include isolation and neglect. We should avoid having that face our grandparents and our elderly. This recognition offers grandparents and the elderly spiritual encouragement and hope. Yes, as we offer that hope and encouragement today on this program to our grandparents and the elderly among us, Africa Online Media Corporation uses the opportunity this year to raise awareness about something Ambassador Lisa just mentioned, that is dehydration. This, we understand, is a health concern which becomes critical when heat waves become as they have been in these days of this summer 2026. Africa Online Media Corporation therefore attaches a lot of importance to our health needs and so invites all of us to zoom in, take part in, or just listen in as we raise awareness on what dehydration is all about. Yes, what is it all about? What do we need to do, to know, and to do, and to be able to do to address what we call dehydration because of heat waves and because of our lack of taking in enough liquids. One of our health experts, Dr. B. Tazong, I'm looking forward to seeing her, is supposed to be here, I hope, and I hope she's there today to help us better understand what to do with that need to be hydrated. But dehydration is not just about drinking liquids when we are thirsty. It is about consuming at least, as I guess, or as I learned, 20% of liquids, of those liquids, particularly water, during the day. At this point, I will turn to the chair of Africa Online Media Corporation, Reverend Palm, to welcome all of us to the program and to let us know if our guest is on the line.
Yes, thank you so much. She's faithful. She's always on the line and she's always available. On behalf of Africa Online Media Corporation, I want to thank you, Nia Song, for your faithfulness. I want to thank you, Ambassador Lisa. You always brighten up the show, and Dr. B. You are really awesome. And I love your backdrop. Every time I see undo it, most of the time they say do it. This one is saying undo it. And I can't wait to hear what you're going to say today because you are just a walking archive, walking, living, breathing archives of information. Dr. Ogoji is out of the continent, so he may not be able to join us. But I want to also welcome our viewers, those who are watching on YouTube, and those who are going to watch on Facebook. We are at the end of July, going to August, the hottest month ever. I entered this country in August, and I had a hard time opening my eyes because I had never seen such heat and sun. My eyes were physically hurting when I got out of the car, to get into the sun was just too much for me. I had never experienced that kind of sun and heat in my life, So, and a lot of our children are in summer activities. Parents need to know to keep the children hydrated so they don't collapse. Someone close to me, not a relative, but almost died because of dehydration. I'm talking about within a couple of days, they had multiple organ failure. And the doctors gave this person just hours to live, and God stepped in. So dehydration is
Man.
very dangerous, very, very dangerous. There are people, you don't only have to drink water when you are thirsty, you need to drink water. You need to stay hydrated because it's basically a net deficit of fluids. If you lose more fluid than you take in, you'll be dehydrated. And there's some illnesses that also cause that. So I'm excited because I know Dr. B is going to shed light. And we're hoping that our people on the continent will be listening too, because there are parts of Africa that are very, very hot. And a lot of people, even simple tests like checking your skin to see, pinching your skin and see if it will go right back or whatever. There are things that our people need to know to be able to tell if somebody's dehydrated or not. All right. I'm going to hand back over to you, Ambassador Lisa, and I'm going to go on mute. Dr. B, you are very welcome. And I'm excited that you're going to Ghana, and I'm excited Ambassador Lisa is going to Ghana. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much, Reverend Pam. Uh, so we are going to get into our conversation about dehydration. I have right here, I have my water with me at all times. I carry bottles of water with me. I keep gallons at my girlfriend's house where I stay. I keep a gallon in the bedroom so I don't have to always keep running back downstairs to get bottles of water. I just have a gallon there. I can just keep filling my water bottle. Dehydration is so very important because it's easy to become dehydrated in a moment's notice. And my natural path says that if you are thirsty, you are already dehydrated.
Yeah.
So we don't want to wait until we get thirsty. Dr. B, again, welcome. And you can tell us all about how not to be thirsty, to stay hydrated. And the little things that we can do is so, so very important. So we want to welcome you to the show again. And the mic and the floor is yours.
Hello. Good afternoon, family at the Africa Online Media. I'm trying to pull up something here real quick because I like words. I like nuances. So please bear with me for a minute.
You're welcome. Thank you. Good to see you.
So while we're waiting for Dr. B, Nia-san, how much water do you drink in the course of a day?
I don't really keep count, but I know that I drink just enough to stay hydrated. I make sure when I get up in the morning, the first thing I do is I take half a liter of
Okay.
what container that is. I don't know. I just take it, but it's about half a liter. I take that,
Okay.
and then during the day, I make sure I drink as much as I can. What I avoid is drinking alcohol or other drinks that are not water.
Right.
Okay. So
Dr.
I'm
B?
ready.
Yeah,
We're
we're ready
ready.
for you.
I pulled up
Undo
the
it.
definition of dehydration first. Dehydration is a condition that occurs when your body loses more fluids than it takes in, preventing it from functioning properly. In
Hmm.
medicine, when we talk about D, it means remove. Hydration is water. So D means removal of water, you know. Um, and I think that it's a very nice and pertinent topic that we're discussing today because it is a very preventable problem and it could become a nightmare too if you don't know what it is and what to do and how to avoid it in the first place. Again, as a lifestyle medicine, preventive medicine physician, my first instinct is to talk about prevention because when you're preventing, you're on the offensive. When you're treating, you're on the defensive, and we all know that being on the offensive is always a better way than being on the defensive. So offensive means you're being proactive. So why is dehydration even an issue? Why are we even talking about it? I always like to know why we do things because the why directs, the actions, and it directs the willingness to commit to avoiding the problem. So, another way to define dehydration is the absence of enough water in your body. And the best way to is just to make it a habit to keep hydrating. Don't wait, like Ambassador Lisa said, by the time you get thirsty, you're already in the beginning stages of dehydration. Yeah, the human body is amazing. It knows when something is wrong. It starts. One moment, please.
I like while we're waiting for Dr. B, let me mute her. I like the fact that we are discussing this topic at this time of the year. And Ambassador Lisa, I don't know if you experienced there was it, it's been on the news. The temperatures are crazy this summer. It's been ridiculously, people
Hmm.
are calling, oh, it is this, it's three digits here in the Midwest or in the West Coast, in the East Coast. I can imagine what it is like in Texas. So Dr. B is back. So Dr. B, you can kindly unmute yourself. Oh no, she had to step out again. So I mean, what kind of crazy weathers did you guys have in your neck of the wood, like you put it, Ambassador Lisa?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, when we were having that heat wave, I believe everyone in the whole United States was having a heat wave. It was like it was all across the Midwest, all across, going up and down the East Coast. The weather, the temperatures were in triple digits, and it was just a time. And I don't like air condition. I don't have air condition. My children were so concerned. Mom, can we please buy your air conditioner this year? I'm like, I am fine. Well, can you please go stay at my brother's house? Can you go please stay at this one's house? I'm fine. I have my water. I stay hydrated. I'm not very active during the time when the heat is very high. I'm somewhere resting, not out and about in it. There's certain things we do. We can take precaution even when the heat is extremely, extremely high. You just limit your activities. Don't overexert yourself. Drink your water and stay somewhere until that temperature begins to come down, and then you can function. You won't get heat stroke, you won't suffer. But when you're dehydrated, all those things can begin to affect your organs. And Dr. B is back to continue her conversation. We understand that we are home on this Zoom, and there are things that our children and grandchildren are doing that require us sometimes to just jump off a line. So we
Exactly.
completely,
I live with children and I live with my parents sometimes too. And so when I hear a noise, I always have to check because
yeah,
somebody could have taken an ice fall, which is exactly what
That
happened.
is the
oh
motherly
no, somebody
instinct,
fell. Oh,
and this show is unscripted, so it's okay. That's what makes it
yeah.
so authentic.
Yes, we don't want your children to be falling, and you don't go because you don't. You assume that they okay. You do what you got to
Exactly.
do. You are a doctor, but you are a mother and a woman and a wife first. Those things come first. So back to the conversation with you.
Yes, ma'am. So I like to put things into perspective. Do you wait until your body starts smelling before you take a bath, or do you just take a bath proactively every day?
Right.
You don't wait. The moment you start smelling, you're already kind of down the dumps, right?
Hmm.
So it's kind of the same thing when you're thirsty. By the time you get thirsty, you're already in a little bit of trouble. And if you keep ignoring it, the trouble only gets worse. Because as I was saying, the body is so smart, it's so nicely designed. For me, medicine is just such an amazing experience because you get to see the majesty of God's work. How he designed the body, how the body works so well, how it's so intelligently designed, and not only that, the fact that the human mind can even design amazing things tells you how amazing the person is. It's almost like we look at the design, but we forget the designer. The designer speaks loud and clear by the virtue of what of the works that have been created. And so the human body is a masterpiece. And so we should start respecting it as a masterpiece that it is. Your body is let's talk about water in the body a little bit. We usually say somewhere between about 60 and 80% of the body is water, but that varies with the body part. So let me give you some statistics here. Up to 78% of your body is made of water. Your brain is made up of 73% of water, and so is your heart. Your bones are 31% water. Your muscles and kidneys are 79% of water, and your skin is 64% of water. A whopping 83% of water makes up your lungs. What does that tell you? The human body is a water machine. There's no way you can successfully run a water machine without water. It's like saying you want to run your car without gas, or a car that uses gasoline, or an electric car. You want to run it without powering it up. Water is part of what the body uses to function, and so every time the body is deprived of water, the body starts telling you very gently, and then it shuts down on you eventually. And that's when people get into trouble. And like I said, it's such a pertinent topic right now because of the weather we're dealing with, and also just the fact that more people are interested in learning about their health. We have had crazy weather for about a month now. I know because I'm out a lot, and it's been terribly hot. And the problem with heat is not just the heat you're feeling, it's what it's doing to you. It's basically cooking us up. And so when you're cooking food, if you're not adding water inside, that food is going to dry up and burn very easily. So I like to think about things in very graphic ways because it helps me to keep things in perspective. So when you're out and about and you're not taking care of your body and not hydrating regularly, you're going to lose more water than you're putting in. And besides the weather, because our bodies are constantly functioning, they're functioning machines, things are always happening, and you're sweating. How do we lose water from the body? We sweat, we defecate, we urinate, sometimes we spit, sometimes we vomit, sometimes just being living alone, breathing, everything. When you breathe, you can see that's why you get some mist on your hand, because there's some water that comes through. That's because water is essential for every single thing. Blood flow, you could, if you took blood and just dried it up, it's just particles, but you need water to keep the blood liquid and to keep it flowing properly. And that's why a lot of times when people are not properly hydrating, they run the risk of having clots, blood clots too, because their blood gets a little thicker. That's why a lot of times people get diagnosed with diabetes in the summer months, because they are not hydrating properly, and the blood sugar level just becomes higher by virtue of the blood becoming more concentrated. And so they end up in trouble. So it's a real problem. People get more confused when you start getting dehydrated, meaning that your body is beginning to sense that it doesn't have enough water to run. When you start feeling thirsty, sometimes you may just feel tired. Sometimes you may feel exhausted. You may feel a little dizzy. You may feel fatigued. Sometimes you may even feel it as a hunger pang. when it's really a thirst pang. And so those are little warning signs the body begins to give you that something is not right. And again, the only way to be proactive is to have some water. I have one of my bottles here. I call it being proactive because when you have water sitting around you, you're more likely to keep drinking. And every time you have to get up and go look for water, it reduces the chances of you drinking. But when you have something sitting right next to you, you're constantly sipping, and you can do that without feeling like you're taking on a lot of water. And then another concern I know people have is running to the bathroom, because the more you drink, the more you have to go to the bathroom. But if you keep sipping all day, your body is so smart, it manages those smaller volumes well. It distributes them nicely and it uses. But when you drink too much at once, what happens? It basically raises your blood volume, and so your body looks at it as a change in volume, and it works to adjust that volume by causing you to go pee sooner. So, for example, if you're driving or you're out and about and you don't want to be peeing all the time, just keep sipping, keep sipping. Make sure that you finish your water, though. You don't want to sip just a little bit, sip little amounts every so often. It gives your body time and opportunity to work through the fluid without forcing you to the bathroom every 5 minutes. So now that we know that most of your body is made up of water, that explains why when things happen, you could easily run into trouble with dehydration because basically your body cannot work well without water. And so we talked about the early stages of dehydration. What are some of the things that can cause dehydration? It's basically a poor balance between fluid intake and fluid output. There are many things that can happen. Sometimes we're just really busy and we don't get to drink water. Sometimes we are somewhere where we don't have access to clean water. And that's again really important if you're traveling a lot. Sometimes even just flying, the AC and everything, it dehydrates you, it dries you out. So you need to keep drinking during flights. Sometimes it's you're sick and you're throwing up or you're putting out a lot more fluid or you have diarrhea and you keep, because for physics to come out, water has to be part of the process. And so when you keep defecating a lot, you're losing a lot of body fluid too. You need to replenish it. If you're exercising, if it's a hot day, hot days in and of themselves make you sweat more. So that means you're losing a lot more fluids. And again, there's a nuance about how to correct. If it's just basic thirst, you drink water. But when you have become deeply dehydrated, you have to replace the water and the electrolytes. For example, when you're sweating, because you're losing not just water, but the electrolytes, especially sodium and potassium, that also affects the electrical activity in your body. So there are so many nice little things we need to know about. That's why to me, the better thing is just to prevent it. If you can prevent it, you save yourself all of the drama that comes down the road. It's also important to know the people that are most greatly affected by dehydration. It's the extremes of ages. So younger people and older people. And then of course people in between that have different health issues like diabetics, people with things like cystic fibrosis and so on. Or if you're just sick, those things they make you more susceptible to the effects of dehydration. So younger children is just because they're smaller, their bodies are smaller, they cannot handle a lot of volume, and the slightest volume change, it's a big deal because it's a matter of percentage. They're smaller in size. They don't if you lose, let's say 2%, if you lose 2% of 500 francs, it means a lot more than losing 2% of, let's say, or let me change it to dollars. If you lose 2% of $1,000, it has a greater effect than 2% of $1 million, right? So think about the body. A smaller body, every little bit of volume you lose means a whole lot more to that body than in a bigger body. But then as you get older, your body is, it's now dealing with issues of wear and tear. So your body is not as responsive as it used to be. It's not as sensitive as it used to be. So even older people, sometimes they forget to drink their water. Sometimes they don't even get to feel thirsty for a long time because their body is just not as sensitive anymore. And that's why when we have older family members, we need to keep reminding them, have a bottle of water next by. Just keep drinking. Don't wait to feel thirsty. Sometimes you may wait too long, or sometimes you may not even feel it. And when you get thirsty now, or by the time you feel it, you're already in a lot of trouble. So it's important. And I can't even talk about all the things that happen when you get dehydrated. Things like, again, remember I talked about things in your body become more concentrated. That's why you're more likely to get kidney stones, because all those things that your body breaks down, they're more concentrated. They're more likely to form those stones and so on. And if you're diabetic and you get dehydrated, you're more likely to go into a diabetic coma. And that's why when you have diabetes and you're dehydrated and they bring you to the hospital, what are the two things we do? We pump you with fluid. We need to flush the system out. We need to dilute your blood. Number two, we give you insulin to help you push some of the sugar into your cells. So we're trying to get you to pee out some of the stuff and to push some of the stuff out. So kidney stones, your eyes get dry, you're less likely to shed tears. You need tears. Tears help your eyes stay clean. You can't even eat well because you're not producing enough saliva. So you eat, but your food is not. Saliva is part of what you need to break down food and digest it beginning in your mouth. You're not producing enough because you're dehydrated. Your brain just gets foggy. You can't think very well. You feel sleepy, you feel tired. And then you may also get dizzy because your blood volume contracts. Remember, water is part of what forms your blood volume. So when your blood volume contracts, what happens? When you move around, your body does not adjust as easily. And that's why when they become dehydrated, they get more dizzy. And what happens when you get dizzy? You're more likely to fall. And then who knows what's going to happen after you fall? It may be a not so bad fall, or it may be a life threatening or life changing fall. So we don't know. And that's why, again, to me, prevention is so important. I think I should stop here for a minute and just let some questions come through. I want to answer more questions. There are still a few more things that we would definitely want to talk about, like medications that can cause dehydration, behaviors and habits that can cause dehydration, and so on. But let me open the floor for some questions.
Yes,
I'm
doctor.
gonna
That said,
okay.
should the individual wait until he or she is thirsty before drinking water?
No, sir. By the time you're thirsty, you're already at the beginning stages of dehydration. So your body is already noticing the volume loss. So you should not wait. You should be proactive and just start sipping and drinking all day, every day.
Yeah,
And
I
follow,
want
there are
follow
also
up to that.
conditions where we would say don't drink as much, and we're going to talk about this. So
Yeah,
let me keep answering.
yes, I was going to ask about that, but now that you're on it, we'll come back to it later.
Yes.
Ambassador Lisa.
yes. I drink a lot of water, so I stay very hydrated. I start my water at 4 a.m. in the morning. When I open my eyes, I start with at least 8 ounces of water. I try to get that 8 ounces. Sometimes it's hard to push that 8 ounces in at 4 a.m., but I do start because you've been laying down all night, your body's not active, and your blood has become like sludge. So you need to get that water in to get that blood thinned down so it can begin to move before you get up. And I think that's why a lot of people, especially our older senior citizens, when they get up, they fall because their blood is too thick and they're not been moving around enough. They don't move around enough. They sit. I have a client that I take care of, and if I can get 8 ounces of water in a
Okay.
day, I'm doing good. But I have really got to fight. I've got to cry. I've got to beg. I've got to promise her things. But as the Dr. B said earlier, when you become, a senior citizen, you lose that sensitivity, and she just does not have that sense of an urgency to drink water because she doesn't feel thirsty. And I keep telling her, you don't want to wait till you become thirsty to drink. Can you just drink a little bit more water? And when I have to give medication, she takes barely enough to get that pill down. And I'm like, no, I need you to get a little bit more in because we got now dissolve that medication. We now have to have some water to dissolve it. We don't just want to push it down our throat. We want it to be able to get in and dissolve and do what it's supposed to do. So, senior citizens, if you have senior citizens in your family, that's a very big red flag and a very big concern. You need to be watching that intake of water for them. Tell them whatever you have to do. My client likes ginger ale, but I said you can't have a ginger ale with all that sugar. I
Blood
don't care how
water.
small it can. You can't have a
Yeah,
ginger ale with all that sugar, and I don't get you to drink enough water to flush out some of that sugar. So.
exactly.
So
All
when
right.
I do give her ginger ale, I kind of sneak some water in. I know that's not getting water in, but I'm
Mhm.
trying to dilute some of that sugar in it. So I sneak some water into her ginger ale. She doesn't really notice that it's not sparkling, effervescent enough.
Well,
What are you saying, Dr. Pam?
no, well, that's because you care. I want Dr. B to address. There are a lot of parents who, and I'm not being critical. We're trying to educate people here. They buy all these sodas, and I'm not
Mm,
going to name any of them, and that's what the children drink. But soda is not a replacement for H2O.
nothing.
It's not a replacement for water. Neither is coffee
No.
or tea. I want
Or
Dr. B to
juice.
address that or juice. And then the other thing is, you know, I want her to also talk about the fact that we wake up dehydrated because throughout the night we lose water, even just from breathing. And then people get up, the first thing they want to do is grab coffee instead of water. So, Dr. B, if you don't mind, I'm going to go back on mute, but I would like for you to address these two things. People drinking sodas, juice, I call them colored liquids because water has no color. People drinking colored liquids, even though there are some sodas that don't have colors, in place of water, and people drinking tea, cocoa, or coffee first when they wake up in the morning. Because a lot of people don't know that we wake up dehydrated. So just quick, you're talking about both sides of the age spectrum. When people become elderly, we have to care for them like we care for the infant. So we have to educate them, sensitize them to the importance of drinking water. Some of them are not just trying to be difficult. Some of them just don't know the value or the importance or the urgency. And it's sad because when an elderly person is dehydrated, it's more dangerous than even a younger person. So Dr. B, if you can address those issues, I really appreciate it. And then I'm going to go on mute, Ambassador Lisa, and I'll be back at the top of the hour. Thank you.
Okay, so let's first talk about why people wake up dehydrated. There are many reasons. One of them is that normally when you're sleeping, most people do not drink while they're sleeping. You're sleeping, right? So for those hours that you're sleeping, you're not drinking. I know a few people that wake up in the middle of the night just to sip water. They can't sleep through the night without drinking. But most of the times when you go to bed at night, you're sleeping, you're not actively drinking water. So you're not replenishing whatever is being lost during the sleep process. And like we said, this is a water machine. It's working. Whether you're awake or not, it's still working. Your heart is still beating, your brain is still functioning, you're still breathing. Things are still happening to your body. It's just that the body has kind of shelved things a little bit so that it can allow you to rest and wake up in the morning and pick up from there. So because of that, so not only are the processes ongoing, but you're not actively replenishing. So by the time you wake up in the morning, you definitely have a degree of deficit. You have a water deficit already. So that's part of it. The other thing is that people sleep at night and sometimes they put on really warm things, which means they sweat a lot more. Or you have the AC, which is really high and is drying out the tissues, and the body is trying to stay hydrated. So there are many things that happen when you're sleeping that could cause you to become dehydrated. And because of that, you need to just get up in the morning realizing that I'm already short on water. I need to hydrate. Now, let's talk about using other kinds of drinks for hydration. Water, I think everybody knows water is a universal cleanser. It's a universal diluent. It's most things, not everything, but most things. When you want to dissolve them or dilute them, you use water. When you want to wash them, you use water. Most things, again, not everything. I am hard pressed to find somebody who takes a shower with soda or who takes a shower with some beer or some wine or some alcohol, because it just doesn't make sense. From the outside of your body, you wouldn't even do it. So why would you do it to the inside of your body? The only thing that you get out of that soda is the drink, the taste in your mouth, and then maybe if it has some caffeine in it, great, it gives you that little kick. But beyond that, it has no value to your body except adding some calories, some extra sugar, maybe if you're taking the regular soda, or adding some extra pounds to your body. So for parents who are giving their children juices and sodas and so on to hydrate, I want to encourage you to walk away from that habit. You're training your child in a behavior that they'll have a hard time getting rid of, because once people get used to drinking sodas and juices and things like that for hydration, they have a very hard time drinking water. In my house, the drink of choice is water. It's not because we're wonderful people, it's because I understand the value of water. So every so often I try to get a treat for them, maybe a soda or a juice or whatever, but those things are actually treats. They're not supposed to be regular hydration. And if you can help your children build that habit early, you've done a world of good for them. They may not have problems earlier in life. They may have little things here and there, but their bodies are pretty resilient. But the longer you live, the less resilient your body is, the more problems will show up. And so and then also for people just struggling with weight and so on, even if your child is getting overweight, watch what you're giving them. All those extra sweet things, they just have a lot of calories and zero value. And so as a parent, you have to consider and ask yourself, yeah, I want my child I want to make them a little happy, but the goal is to actually raise functional human beings. when you're functioning well, happiness comes behind it. But if you're just focusing on happiness, you're going to make a mistake that will take away your happiness. So I think that as parents, we have to keep reminding ourselves is that that's part of disciplining your children, training them to make the right choices, including what they're eating and what they're drinking. Another thing I want to put in there, because people struggle a lot with just drinking water, and again, it's a habit that they've built over time. One of the things to eating your vegetables and your fruits is a good way to get your water because those things naturally come packed with water. So even if you're not drinking all those number of cups a day, if you're eating lots of fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, you're getting a decent amount of water in addition to a lot of nutrition. So
Doctor, not to cut you short,
yes, sir.
are there specific fruits that you would recommend as a doctor to a person who is fond of drinking, not drinking water, but wanting something else to replenish?
I think, so one of the things that I've kind of backed away from in life is trying to corner people into having you can only have this and that. And I'll explain why. Because personally, I don't like being cornered like that either. But I
Okay.
also feel like God gave us so much variety. Why are you going to limit yourself to two or three things? Your goal is to eat as many fruits, different colors of the rainbow, with all kinds of variety as possible. Now, there are nuances. For example, if you're diabetic, you want to cut back on those things that have high glycemic index, the ones that will raise your blood sugar much higher than others. So, otherwise, I would say the goal is to eat the colors of the rainbow, eat as many fruits and as vegetables as, but especially vegetables have a lower sugar content and they have a lower sugar content, so you're more likely to eat. It's easier for you to do better with vegetables than with fruits, but your goal is to eat the colors of the rainbow, things that are high in fiber. Eat the different colors of fruits. If you don't like this particular fruit, find another fruit that has a similar color and eat it. And if you're doing that, again, there's no such thing in life as I'm just going to do this one thing and everything is going to work out well. I call life a perfect storm. Disease is a perfect storm, health is a perfect gathering of good choices. So if you're making a ton of good choices, you're gonna have good outcomes. Make sure you're sipping some water, you're taking your fruits in, you're taking your vegetables, you're hydrating properly, you are preventing unnecessary dehydration. And I think that, and I hope that that's an answer that most people can actually live with because it gives you the freedom to enjoy life and not always feel tied down or limited.
Dr. B, we talked about earlier, or at least Reverend Pam talked about uh, dehydration, and we talked about seniors. I read somewhere that it's easy for an infant to become dehydrated. And I thought that was very interesting because when babies are crying, we naturally feed them. Now, I know, well, I can't say I know. I am assuming, because I haven't heard it been said lately, that parents nowadays are not giving their children water. They feed them formula or they breastfeed them, but they're not getting that intake of water like we used to get when we were children. If we got a bottle of water, we got a bottle of sugar water. We had that water with that carob syrup in it. So we drank a lot of water as infants, and I don't see parents doing that nowadays. Is this true that parents are not giving their infants? Is that how they're becoming dehydrated?
Well, that's I don't think that's what it is, because if you think about it, right, formula formula is mixed with water.
Mm-hmm.
I think because the baby's body is not fully formed yet or well developed, a lot of times with all the new findings, they are worried that maybe you're gonna give the baby more fluid than their body can handle. But if you're giving them the right amount of formula or breastfeeding takes a lot of hydration. You cannot breastfeed if you're not drinking enough water. I don't care what anybody says. I have
Okay.
breastfed before. The mother has to stay hydrated because you are the tap water for your child.
Yes.
So, so it's not a benign activity. It's something that you do consistently. So either which way, if you're breastfeeding or you're giving them the right amount of fluid that they should be taking, they should be fine. And how would you know when a child is feeding properly? You're looking, for example, at the end of the day, they're putting out at least 6 wet diapers minimum for infants. If a baby is not peeing all day, I want to tell you upfront they're dehydrated because, like I
Wow.
said, the body is working. The body doesn't stop
Six.
because the baby is sleeping. Your body is constantly. That's the reason you're alive, or you're alive because your body is working. Your body is working because you're alive. So it's a cycle. So if your baby is not putting out at least 6 wet diapers a day, you have a problem. Other things that you can do, if the baby is not crying or they're crying and you can't see any tears, there is a problem because you need water to make all of those things. And also them not crying is probably they're just so fatigued from dehydration that they can't even scream. If you look at those children that are starving and so on, if you look at them, a lot of times they're just sitting there almost half dead because they have no energy. Now, another thing you can look at, there's something we call the fontanelle. That's where the different parts of the skull meet up, and the reason it's open is because as we need to grow enough. The body is basically giving space for the brain to grow. And as children are growing, you may not notice the fontanelle or not, but it takes all the way into your 20s for your skull to completely seal up.
Wait.
Yes, I think the early or mid 20s, it takes up to then for your call, but you don't see the fontanelle
Right.
anymore. But in babies, you see it when they're crying, you can see it bulging and going down. So, one of the ways to know if a baby is dehydrated, check the fontanelle. If it's sunken, like it's dipping in, you know that baby doesn't have enough fluid.
Wow.
So those are little things you can look for to tell you if their eyes are sunken, if their skin is dry and wrinkled. When you're part of the thing that shows whether you're dehydrated, your skin tells a lot. The skin is
Hmm.
the largest organ in the body, and the skin
Yes.
benefits tremendously from hydration. When you're not properly hydrated, your skin tells you it's dry, it's falling apart, and So there are little things you can look for in children that will tell you. Sometimes if they're breathing really hard and they're breathing deep, it's because now they're dehydrated. They have a low blood volume, so the body is trying to compensate by pumping harder. That's why they breathe faster, and even adults, because initially the body is trying to compensate for the low volume by saying, okay, cardiac output is how sorry the I'm trying to remember that formula is heart rate times cardiac output is heart rate times, I think, volume. So when one of them is down, the body tries to compensate by increasing the other one, because the body is trying to make sure that it's putting out enough blood to pump around your body. It's true for every human body. And so the body is always trying to correct itself when there's a problem, but the body can only do that for so long before it gets tired or before it shuts down, because if you don't have enough resources, there's only so much that you can do before you acknowledge that we're out of resources.
Now, doctor,
Never
let me
heard.
just
I never
quickly,
heard.
we mentioned you just mentioned about the kids, the little babies. What
Mhm.
about adults? Are there symptoms of dehydration that we should look for in adults?
Oh, yes, sir. So in adults, you have things like headaches, what we call delirium, where they're getting confused. There's also confusion. They could be tired or fatigued. They could be dizzy. We talked about that. Their mouth can be dry. The heart rate can be high, but the blood pressure will be low. Remember, we talked about that. Heart rate is high because the pressure is really a reflection of your blood volume, right? So your blood volume is low. So the heart is trying to pump faster so it can put out enough blood to take care of your body. Lots of appetite, but and then they may be craving sugar. The skin may be red because your body is just trying every way it can to correct it, to help itself. Your feet may be swollen. You may have muscle cramps. May have heat intolerance or chills, constipation. Another quick one that you can see, and most people can tell you that when you go into the bathroom, short of you taking a medication or something, and your urine looks really dark, you know you're not properly hydrated. The urine is supposed to be a pale yellow color. If it's looking dark or very dark in color, basically if it's not a nice pale yellow and it has a very strong smell to it, you are dehydrated, because that basically means that whatever is in your blood is getting concentrated. Remember, we talked about it. Water actually dilutes things in the blood so that they work well and so that things get moved around and cleaned out better. So whenever you're dehydrated, your body is basically struggling and trying to do the best it can with the limited resources it has.
If you have a sweet smell, not your perfume, but you have like a sweet smell coming from your body, you're dehydrated and your body's now concentrating and releasing this.
That's more to do with diabetes and so on. That's
Oh,
more
okay.
to I'm forgetting the name of that smell. It's gonna come back to me in a moment. Where they have, we call it a nice sweet smell coming from the body. It's not really dehydration. But that I wouldn't be surprised, because when diabetics, their blood sugars usually tend to go up when they get dehydrated.
Wow.
So
I certainly appreciate this, as old as I am, and I've raised three sons to adulthood, and I've got a variety of grandkids and nieces and nephews. I never really knew the symptoms of dehydration in children. I didn't know that 6 diapers was a minimum of an output, and I surely didn't know anything about crying without tears. I've seen children cry that don't have tears. We just assume they just making noise. And I'm pretty sure that most of us as parents thought they were just making noise, and not that it was a fact that they didn't have enough liquid in them to produce tears. That's a brand new mind blowing fact. So I'll have to watch out for that when I'm around babies.
yes, now I also have to say, I think that's why medicine is such an art. It's a nuance too, because maybe the baby has problems with their tear gland and the tears are not
Okay.
coming out. But if a baby doesn't have problems, their tear glands, and then everything else fits into, they're not eating properly, maybe they're sick, maybe they've been sleeping all day, they've not been eating, it's more likely to be dehydration.
More
So you're
likely to be
looking
hydration.
at the big picture, right? You're not just looking at one little thing, because some children come out, they have issues with their tear gland and they cry all they can, nothing is going to come out, but they're properly hydrated. So we have to keep that in mind. If they don't have other things going on, and we know that they have not been eating properly, or they've been fighting us with food, they've not been keeping enough food down, or they've been sick, then more likely it has to do with dehydration.
Okay. Dehydration in infants. Watch out for these signs to our new mothers. My client she's always very dizzy when she stands up. Um, I tell her son, I said, when I have care of your mother, I'm not on the phone. I have my eyes on her at all time because she will not fall and pass out on my watch. But I know for a fact that her headaches and her dizziness comes from her lack of intake of water. But when I get there in the morning, I start trying to baby feed that water to her, trying to get, no, we're not getting any cookies or all them sweets that you want, nothing until I get some water intake. So I can get her to take water because she wants what it is that she wants. So she'll drink water. But that is so important. We need to be watching out for our citizens, our senior citizens. They need as much dehydration as we do. We think just because we're busy and always going and doing and they've become sedentary that they don't need as much water, but they do. So we need to keep an eye out on them so they can continue to live long and live a good quality of life. They can live a good quality of life if they can stay hydrated.
And then the other thing too, you have to think about, when people get older, a lot of them tend to develop medical issues, which can also predispose them to dehydration. They may be taking medications like water pills that cause them to pee a lot more. They need to replace those fluids, and there are other things that they could be doing that could be making them more dehydrated. Little things here and there, so peeing a lot more. And then there are people with mental health issues. There are some medications that make you pee a lot more, things like lithium and so on. They make you get really dehydrated. So
Okay.
there are so many little things. When you see somebody, if you're concerned about dehydration, you can go online and just look at a list of medications, or you can call your pharmacist and ask, is there any of the medications that will make them more likely to be dehydrated? Is there something I should look out for? So even family members, as they get older, you should start looking out. Is there something that is making this person more likely to be dehydrated? I can tell you upfront that illness is a big one. Diarrhea is one of them. Having a cold, influenza, when you're coughing and you have a runny nose, what do you think is happening? You're losing body fluid. You need to replace. And that's why for those people, even when they don't have appetite, we have to keep encouraging them to keep hydrating. Keep a glass of water or something close by, and just tell them, listen, you don't have to finish all of this in one sitting. Just keep sipping, and I'm going to keep replacing. Just keep sipping. And as you keep sipping, before you know it, you're out of water and you're ready for your next glass or next big cup or next jar of water. Just keep sipping. Make it a business. Just like when you go to the bar and people are drinking and so on. They don't just take a glass of beer and just chug it. For the most part, they sit there and they drink, and that's why they spend hours in the bar because they're drinking and sipping all the time. And that's what we should be doing with our water. Just keep sipping and keep drinking. Every so often, you may feel really, thirsty, or you may feel like, okay, I'm going to step out. You may take a little bit more, but for the most part, just keep sipping and sipping, and that should take care of the problem.
Yeah, doctor, I'm going to ask you a double-edged question.
Yes.
First of all, is there a mathematical number attached to the amount of water we should drink a day, or within the hour, or within a 24 hours? That is a day anyway. And secondly, is there a way of drinking water, sipping or gulping?
So, that has been a question that has plagued us for a long time. Is there a way to, how much water do we need to drink? It depends on your weight, your age, your level of activity, the climate of your environment, and then other things like if you're taking medications that make you lose more water, or if you're sick. So there's not a very good answer to that question. They always used to say drink about 8 glasses of water a day, right? But if you have heart failure, we don't want you drinking a ton of water. We usually restrict fluids because those fluids are going to go, your heart is not pumping well, your heart is not going to be able to pump them. It's going to now lead to fluid backup in your heart and in your legs and so on, and then that becomes another problem. So it's you have to look at the whole person and decide. But for the average person, we're looking at about 8 glasses of water a day. But now, if you went out to work out, you should drink more. If you're going to be out there sweating a lot more, you're gardening, you're doing things that are making you sweat more, you're losing more water. So you need to drink more. If you're exercising, so it depends on what's going on. If you're a bigger person, you need to drink more fluid because you have more organs and tissue to take care of than a smaller person, right? So it depends on your age. Younger children don't need as much water. They need enough water, but they don't need as much as a bigger person, because again, it's a matter of size. Your body can only take so much. So we have to keep all of those in perspective. And I'm hoping that I'm giving you the answer that makes sense. Not There's not one clear cut answer.
Yes. Thank you very much for that. Yes.
Yes.
Ambassador?
Yes, Dr. B. When
Yes.
you are doing activities such as gardening or going to the gym, you're not only losing water, but we're losing those electrolytes as well. Is it equally as important to replenish that water and those electrolytes, or does the water alone do enough?
So, in the beginning, I said something, and that's the nuance of fluid replacement, right? If you're going to be out for maybe just like maybe 20 or 30 minutes and you have not lost a lot of fluids, water is the way forward. But if you're going to be out for much longer and you're losing a lot more fluid, you need to replace the electrolytes. Because now, if you drink more water, you over dilute the electrolytes in your system, and then you can start having electrical issues because of that. And other issues too, because the potassium helps with your electrical activity in your heart, and then sodium helps not only that, but it also helps with even alertness, because when people's sodiums get really low, they can start having seizures. So if you're going to be out much longer, you want to do an electrolyte rehydration. If it's just for a little bit of time, you can just take your water and that's good to go.
Ambassador, Ambassador, keep going, keep going. Yeah.
So, real quickly, we're almost at the top of the hour. I want to talk about skin and joints for a moment. How can we tell if we're dehydrated in our skin?
So your
Other than,
skin
other
get
than looking, other than being ashy and things like that, isn't there some
Well,
kind of test?
your skin will feel drier, but also sometimes you can actually feel your lips getting dry. And then also we have something we call tenting. When you're dehydrated, when you pull your skin up, it's what we call turgor. If you pull the skin up, even on the forehead, sometimes for some people, the skin, you would see normally the skin goes back quickly, right? When I pull my skin up, it goes back immediately. But when somebody's dehydrated, it takes a while for the skin to go back.
Okay.
Yes, because there's just you have a poor turgor. We call it turgor. So that's we call it skin tenting when you do stuff like that. But that's usually when the person is really quite dehydrated. But you can feel it. And again, a lot of times if you're waiting to feel it, sometimes you may miss the mark. For example, I can tell you that when I fly, I usually get dehydrated. So now when I'm traveling, and thank God they're allowing us to bring these things now, I just load it up with ice, because a lot of airlines will allow you to put ice in here, just not water. You can check in with ice. You can go through security with ice, and then you can fill up the water in the terminals, because a lot of places now have those water fountains. So when you get on the flight, they only give you so much water, and then if you drink it too fast, then you have to go pee, and then the plane is getting ready to land, and you need to pee and stuff. And I've had that happen to me before, and I don't like it. So what I do is I just keep sipping while I'm out there. I carry this with me. I load it up with some ice. If you like ice, if you don't, just take your empty bottle. It goes through security, and once you get through, because unfortunately, since 9/11, I almost feel like it's been held getting water at the airport. You get a bottle of water for like $4 or $5. That's ridiculous. So, but if you carry a nice water bottle, again, most airports they have water fountains now, because they understand that people need to stay hydrated. So get you your water bottle, put it in your bag. If you're traveling, make sure that you have good sources of water. Um, there are certain places that also have like the water, the straws now that help to purify water if you're out and about and you're not sure of the water quality and you don't have access to good clean water. I think they call them life straws. So you just want to make sure that one, you have access to water, because we can talk about hydration all we want to, but if you don't have access to water, that doesn't matter, right?
That's
So
so true.
give yourself, I always say it this way, give yourself a chance to win. None of us are going to get out of this life free. There's only one way out here, but you want to make it as as meaningful and as enjoyable as you can while you're here. And part of that is just taking good care of yourself, and part of that is being hydrated.
Very
If
good.
if and when it comes to it, you drop, what should you do? What should you medically do to maybe you drop, but you don't know why you dropped. So what should you medically do?
So I'm going to tell you something, sir. I always push for prevention, because sometimes when it happens, you know something is wrong, but you can't help yourself. You better pray that people around that can help you, because if you get to the place where you're passing out, you're basically, you need to go to the hospital, because now instead of trying to give you water through your mouth that you may not be able to drink because you're not conscious, they have to go through your veins and give you fluid to bring you back up to par. And then after that, you need to get back drinking, because I'll tell you something about IV fluids. When they give you IV fluids, guess what they have to do pretty soon? Go pee,
Okay.
because they raise your
Okay.
blood volume really high. So the best way to get water in your body that doesn't force you to pee every 5 minutes is to just be slowly drinking water throughout the day. But there's a time and a place for rapid rehydration. If somebody is so dehydrated that their blood volume has dropped or they've passed out, they need aggressive measures. They need to be resuscitated, and they need rehydration, aggressive rehydration. And then after that, you start correcting. I mean, they're rehydrating you. They don't give you water in your IV fluids. They give you water, electrolyte water. So depending on who it is, usually it's sodium chloride. That's called normal saline. But in some special cases, they may give you what they call lactated ringers and so on. So if somebody has had fevers, you definitely want to hydrate them. If you have a child at home or a family member who is sick and they're having fevers, when your body temperature is rising, you're sweating a lot more, you're losing a lot more fluids. So whenever people are sick, we should focus on proper rehydration, unless it's heart issues, and specifically heart failure, where they cannot handle a lot of fluid. But in the hospital, when we have this kind of patients, it's always a struggle. I call it a hot potato situation. You put it in one hand, it's hot. You put it in the other hand, it's hot. So you try to rehydrate them without blowing their heart out, or you just tell yourself, I'm just going to do a little bit of each, a little bit of rehydration, a little bit of diuresis.
Versus
Just
benefits.
exactly, just so that things are getting flushed out, so that the system is getting cleaned up without you overwhelming their heart. So again, always remember there are nuances, and that's why we have something called medical care.
Ambassador, I think top of the hour, we passed the top of the hour because of the goodness of the talk. So please.
Yeah, she
Yes.
always rocks.
Ambassador
So,
has
yes,
something
she
to say.
does. So we want to take this time. We're at the top of the hour. We're going to play our anthem, and then we're going to be back with our announcements, and we're going to finish this topic on dehydration, how to prevent it, how to know the signs. And I did have a question. Well, I don't think it's a question, but a comment and I'm going to make this real quickly as I'm transitioning over. I did not know, I knew that we could bring frozen water. I did not know that we could just bring ice in our cups. I had not even thought, because it's the
You
same
don't know
thing.
either one, and I appreciate that because I have a lot of
Yes.
travels, so I appreciate that. But Ambassador Lisa, while you're pulling the anthem, I don't know if it was Dr. B who made that comment that she doesn't know of anybody who bathes with beer. I can tell you this: I don't know of anybody either, but beer can make somebody so drunk that they will use beer to take a shower. So
She,
Then
actually,
now
that's
you're
what
no
she said,
longer making a
soda.
rational decision.
No longer.
yeah,
She
because
said,
that's what alcohol does to people. But Ambassador Lisa, go ahead with the
yeah,
anthem. I
but
was
like she
just
said, my naturopath says anything on the skin is inside the system and in your body in 28 seconds. So if we're bathing our insides with soda, it's
Mhm.
almost like, why would you not? You don't bathe in the shower with soda, so why would you bathe your insides with
We
soda?
have a lot of medications that are applied, on the skin, so and it's the largest organs of the body. That's why people need to be careful what they apply
Yeah,
on their
so
body.
that was funny. I didn't laugh out loud, but when I thought about it, I said, yeah, we don't bathe with soda and all those other things. So, and it's getting in our system. So why would we drink it when we know how bad it is and it's getting in our systems? Again,
I
we
need
are going.
them so I can go get me some water, please.
Yes, we're
Yes.
going to take this time to
Yes.
gather our water, get yourself hydrated for this, um, and then come back, because I know that while you were sitting and listening, your lips were salivating and you needed some water. So we want you to go get a drink. Come back in a few minutes as we will continue with Africa Online show for dehydration.
Thank you.
Oh, Africa. Oh no. Africans, Africans for Africa. 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 Africans have many bright ideas. If only you let us share. If you really want to know my history, please come, sit down, listen to my story. God gave us a wisdom. He guides our footsteps, makes us shine and transform. Hey, as one people with so many cultures, yet indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Let us all unite behind Africa Online Media Corporation. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. It's time to come together, promote awareness, progress, and solution. Hey, Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. Africans, Africans for Africa. All Africans can rally for a common cause, to believe without judgment in what our brother does, to identify and resolve our challenges, to allow each other's ideas without regard to standards. As one people with so many cultures, yes indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Let us solve all the problems plaguing our continent. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Let us empower Africans in and out of Africa. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Africa Online Media Corporation, that's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. They have all the resources we need to benefit our society. Oh. Education for everyone, if we believe. Prosperity for Africans, if we believe. Medical facilitation for Africans, if we believe. Stand up, Africa, yes, for Africa. Africa Online Media Corporation, that's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Africa is the cradle of civilization, the motherland. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. We were enslaved not because we were weak, but because of our hospitality. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. Jump on the Africa Online Miracle Jet. Don't be left behind. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Together we shall succeed. Together we will win. Stand up, Africans, let's save Africa. We are writing our own story, the truth, and we shall tell it to the world. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. No more lies. Africans own Africa.
No more lies. Africans own Africa. Okay, folks. Oh,
So
there,
Lisa, we can hear you.
there we go. Now, Africa belongs to Africans, and we are so proud of that anthem. Oh, well, that our anthem. It was written by our our CEO, Her Royal Highness Reverend Dr. Pam. We own full rights to it, and we are so delighted to share it with you,
That's
our
right.
online, Facebook, Zoom, and or YouTube family, and anybody else who may run across it. Matter of fact, I encourage you to find it online, listen to it, listen to the words we're like it, subscribe, and tell us what you think about it. So, our announcement for next week from Nia
Okay.
San.
No, that would be me. I hope you have not been drinking beer.
No,
So this you and I need to talk about this AC thing offline because I just realized I'm sure you've said that before. This is the first time I'm paying attention to it. We need to talk. You can have it, but don't put it on. But anyway, next week we are going to be discussing climate change, and I think that just works out as a sequel to this topic. So that's what we're going to be discussing. And but Lisa, do you want to talk about Operation Boho and Ghana, or you want me to talk about it?
well, I'll definitely talk about Operation Borehole. Excuse me. I drank my water while we was on break, but I also had some I had some cake.
Okay, Ambassador Lisa, I'm going to go on mute. I want you to talk about both, okay? And,
Okay, fine.
and I'm going to go on mute till the end of the show. Thank you,
Uh,
guys.
you're welcome. So, Africa Online has an ongoing fundraiser. It is called Operation Borehole 55. It is our desire to see clean running water in our government approved facilities, medical facilities in Africa, have clean running water for its patients. Lots. I say 95 to 98% of our medical facilities, government approved medical facilities in Africa, do not have running water, clean water. If you were a patient and you had to go to the hospital, say to deliver your baby, pray to God that you have a child who can go to the river and fetch you a bucket of water. If not, you're going to have your procedure on a table that someone else has just had their procedure on and had not been clean. Our clinics need clean running water. Our people need clean running water. Our boreholes not only benefit the clinic, it also benefits the neighborhood as well, the village or wherever it is. We run a tap outside, and the households are blessed. Our first uh, borehole is up in Sierra Leone, and 6,000 plus households are being blessed by the clean running water from the borehole that was sank in that clinic. It has solar power. It's what the people were taught how to keep the solar panels clean so the water continuously runs. We want to do that in all 55 nations on the continent, but we can't do it without you. We need you to help us, to help our sisters and brothers. We need you to donate. I don't care if it's $5, 5 rand, 5 shilling, £5, 100. We need a donation. If you would not mind, my brothers and sisters, going over to Africa's Brain Bank, Africa, AfricaAinBank.org, Africa's Brain Bank.org, and you'll see the donate button there. Just hit that button, make a donation towards the borehole. Put in the note that this is for the borehole. Our next country is Kenya and Cameroon because both countries are in desperate need, as is all of our countries. But the quicker we can get the money and raise the money, the quicker we can move on to the next country. So please, would you think about it the next time you're brushing your teeth and the water is just running down the sink while you brush? Would you please think about our babies on the continent the next time you are sitting down and having that nice, refreshing glass of ice water with lemon in it, that they don't have that? Consider making a donation and being a blessing to someone.
Ambassador
Our next
Lisa, sorry, before you go to the summit, I need to say something. This is important. On behalf of Africa Online Media Corporation and our sister organization, Africa's Brain Bank, I honestly want to thank Honorable Mayor Johnny Ford, the founder and CEO of the World Conference of Mayors, and the World Conference of Mayors for their generous donation to Operation Borehole 55. Because of that donation, Ambassador Lisa and some you guys know, I created a WhatsApp group with the nurse from that clinic in Bamukumbi. It's a place I'd never heard of before we got that video. So it's not in my village. They see more than 400 patients a month from 6 different villages, and they don't have access to water. And the closest water is disgusting. It has mold there. We have those images. And when we come back from Ghana, we're going to schedule our next fundraiser to do that. But I just want to do a shout out to the World Conference of Mayors. And now, Ambassador Lisa, and I'm hoping Dr. B, because both of you will be in Ghana, you can talk about our upcoming summit. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So our next announcement is the 7th annual Summit and Gala, Red Carpet Gala fundraiser, and it will be in Ghana in just a few weeks. I'm telling you, more like 6 weeks. It is 6 weeks away, and there is still time for you to go and to take part in the beautiful country of Ghana, in the city of Accra. We will be having an amazing 7 days of summit. We will be breaking ground on one of the largest medical facilities. We will be going to the point of no return. There is a power pack 8 days that are being planned for Labor Day weekend in Ghana. Again, you can go to africasbrainbank.org and find out all the information. Register for the whole week. Maybe you're just going to come for a day or two. There is something there for everyone, and we don't want you to miss it. So, africasbrainbank.org, and you will find all the information you need for our 7th annual Gala Summit and fundraiser right there, africabrainbank.org. Nia-san, we're going back to the conversation. We're going to be finishing up our conversation on dehydration.
You had a question?
Lisa.
Yes.
Can I say something real quick about that Africa's Brain Bank summit coming up? I just want to encourage everybody. This is not a limit to who can attend. I think any and everybody should attend. I was just reading an article recently, and it said that Black women in America are flying to South Korea for healthcare. Because they don't trust the system here. It's becoming a trend. They spend thousands and thousands of dollars to fly out there to get care. So I'm asking myself, and we already know a lot of Africans are flying to India already for care.
Yes, they are.
Why don't we have a hub in Africa? And I think this is part of what this Africa Brain Back thing is trying to, this is what they're trying to address. We need Africans taking care of, not that we don't want other people to care for us, but why are we always waiting for other people to help us? Why should we not do the things that can help? We have enough brain power. We have enough manpower. We have enough resources. I think this is the beginning of something amazing that is going to keep happening. And we need to start building more healthcare hubs in Africa where we can go around and care for our own people and give ourselves some self-respect. Because I'm going to be honest, whenever you have to fly somewhere for somebody to care for you, they don't treat you the way that your own immediate people will treat you. They treat you like a beggar.
Yeah.
And so, and the reason why everybody should come to this summit is not just because it's a healthcare thing, but it's because healthcare attracts every other kind of profession. We need IT people. We need any and every kind of person, engineer, everybody, because medicine is a hub for every kind of business attraction and everything. So we're looking at these ideas. I think people that have ideas and they're thinking about the next generation of Africans that are going to build up the continent and help our fellow Africans, we should be looking towards Accra, Ghana, in addition to the historical importance and the things that we're going to be accomplishing during this conference. Just wanted to put that out there.
Let me say something, Ambassador Lisa and Anchors, we may have to extend this show by 10 minutes. This is important. Dr. B omitted a couple of things. She's going to be on the panel on Saturday morning, addressing an issue that truly affects our African women, both on the continent and here. I'm not going to leak it out on this show. Secondly, this will be her 3rd time. Her first time she came, Ambassador Lisa, you were there in 2020 in Atlanta. She came with her parents. Last year, she was on the panel. She did a phenomenal job. And talking about medical tourism, the goal is this vision, the Lord gave it to me in 2019. But after I got installed and crowned as development queen, it evolved into what we're about to do. The information is not out there. It's not going to be out there. During the groundbreaking, we're going to share a few, but we are encouraging all our doctors in particular, come back home and practice in a place where you feel safe, you are valued, you are treated right, you are respected. And I can tell you this, every single patient that is going to step their foot in this facility will be treated like a queen and a king, like royalty. The color of money is green. It's open to everybody. But right now, as we speak, an average of more than $1 billion leave Africa every year for medical tourism. And we have people dying in India and other places. Like Dr. B said, they're not going to treat you right. Ambassador said it would be awesome to leave Philadelphia and fly to be treated in a state-of-the-art hospital by your own people, highly respected, valued, And so I just want to encourage, we want to keep that more than $1 billion that's living Africa in Africa. And we're hoping to do way, way more than that and make Africa, especially Ada, the tourism hub of the world. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. Dr. B, you're so right. Africans are flying out of Africa to be treated in India and other places. My nephew just had to fly to Turkey. His dentist recommended, because of the damage that needed to be repaired and the cost that it would have cost him, even with insurance, they recommended that he go to Turkey to have these procedures done. And he went to Turkey for about 3 weeks, stayed in a hotel to have medical procedures, dental procedures done, that they said still would have cost more here in America than it would have cost him to fly to Turkey, stay in a hotel, and to get the treatment done. So we'd rather him fly to Africa if he has to fly anywhere. If we have to fly anywhere, we want to go back home where our people love us, where we love them.
Ambassador Lisa, I just want to say something to you, because I know that people are all in their feelings nowadays. Like, oh, they're talking about black this and that. I'm like, that's not the point. We just need our dignity back. Everybody else has it except us. And it's not because we don't want to care for other people, or we don't want to. I have people here that I absolutely love, of every shade of color, because they're all God's children. They're all my brothers and sisters. But we Africans, we have given up everything. We have nothing. And that needs to stop, because unless you can earn your own respect, nobody's going to give you any bit of respect.
No, you're right. And with that being said, because I see Dr. B has turned that lovely smile that she always has to righteous indignation.
Yes, I get fired up. I get fired up
And her
about
whole face
injustice.
just changed. So we're going to begin to do something about that with our boreholes, with our medical facilities. We're going to make Africa be a number one. It will no longer be a third world country. We speak that right now in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Because the scriptures say that the tail will be the first, the last will be first, and the first will be last. And I'm ready to flip. When Africa flips, I'm ready to flip. And we're going to call those things into existence now. But back to our subject at hand, dehydration. We talked about some of the signs and the symptoms, how to know you're dehydrated, how to know your babies and your seniors are dehydrated, how to know what medications are dehydrating you. I think Reverend Pan said we're going to extend a little bit more, a few more minutes. Dr. B, do you have anything else you would like to share? I don't have any other questions. I think I asked my last question about the electrolytes. Do we need to replace the fluid with electrolytes, especially when we're doing things like exercising and going to the gym and all that except the sweating?
Yes, ma'am. Because and I'm sure that we've all tasted sweat. When you're sweating, if it's running down your face, some of it gets your mouth. It tastes salty.
Very salty.
It's coming from your body.
Yes.
Those are electrolytes you're losing. So when you're heavy on activity and you're sweating a lot, or you're losing a lot of fluid, you need to replace not just the fluid but the electrolytes. If it's just, like I said, basic everyday thing, just drink water. But once you start getting to the place where you're being dehydrated, and we're just looking at some statistics here, by the time you get thirsty, you're already down by like 2% of body fluid. And then it gets to severe dehydration when you're down to about 10% of body fluid. So your goal is to never ever cross that threshold if you can help it. because at that point you're in need of emergency medical care. So 10 subtle signs of dehydration, just to recap, you have here, how do you know that you're dehydrated? One, thirst. Again, when a person is about 2% dehydrated, you start feeling thirsty. And that's your body's warning signs, like something is not right, please do something, please do something. And the alarms are only going to keep getting louder until the point where
Yes.
you can no longer do anything about it. Dry mouth, we talked about that, because saliva helps to keep your mouth hydrated. And when you're not properly hydrated, you just can't make enough saliva. Decrease in urination, again, because your blood has to go through your kidneys, a part of the system that helps to clean out your blood. And so the kidney is an active filter and is actively filtering the blood. If you don't have enough blood going through, there's just not enough blood being filtered. There's not enough fluid and dirt being cleaned out of your body. So you're going to have decreased urination. And of course, because there's a smaller volume coming through your kidneys, and the whatever is coming through is more concentrated. It's almost like saying I put a cube of sugar in an ounce of water versus in 20 ounces of water. They're going to have two different tastes because of concentration. Dry skin, again, your skin will be drier than normal, and yes, moisturizing is good for dry skin, but more importantly, hydration, because you're working from the inside out, not just from the outside in. Low blood pressure, again, it's a volume issue. When you're dehydrated, you're just volume contracted, you just don't have enough volume, and so your blood pressure is going to drop, and your heart rate in the beginning will go up to compensate for the drop in volume. Muscle cramping, again, because your body is not having, it's not able to work the way it should. Constipation, because you need fluids for physics to go through your digestive tract. And so when you don't have enough fluid, your body has already absorbed what it can. That there's just basically thick stuff in your stomach. It's thick, the sludge just gets thicker and thicker, and that leads to constipation. Fatigue, again, because you're not getting enough hydration. Your body is just not working optimally. It doesn't have enough blood flow. It doesn't have, the pump is just not working efficiently enough. It's working efficiently, but it's just not getting enough stuff to the organs to keep it vibrant. You get headaches. Those are some of the most common things that you feel. And I just want us to, whenever we go into the grocery store, watch what they're doing in the produce section. The produce section have something like showers above them. And they're always, the plants, when you walk in and the plants start wilting, if you notice, they start spraying them, and all of a sudden those plants perk up. And those are plants that have already been harvested, but they still respond to hydration.
Yes.
So you can imagine how much more a walking, breathing, active human needs to be hydrated. It's a critical part of our existence. So let's not take it lying down.
Dr. B, I want to ask you a question about something you said earlier. You said if you took a cube of sugar and you put it in 1 ounce of water versus a cube of sugar in a 20-ounce bottle of water, the difference is the concentration. I take MSN. I only take my MSN in a little bit of water, and because I don't like really like the taste of it, so I put it in a little bit of water, drink it down, and then I follow it with a full bottle of water. Am I still getting too much concentration in the MSN or anything that I may put in that's supposed to be in water?
Very possibly, because some things you may get away with just doing that and then following with a lot of water, but some other things, by virtue of their concentration, they could be causing harm to your digestive tract.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes, so I'm not sure, but if they tell you dilute it in maybe 20 ounces of water, you're better off doing that.
It's
I mean,
supposed to be eight
sometimes
ounces.
sometimes there may be nothing going on, but sometimes they have just basically tested it only with that amount of water. But I always just say err on the side of caution. Just follow the instructions.
Just follow the instructions. Thank you. Okay. I will just learn to like it and just and it's not that it's bad, it's just that salt. I don't even know what to call that taste, but I'd rather put in a little bit of water, drink it down, and then just follow it with water instead of drinking this big a bottle of MSN. Nia Sang.
Yeah, just, I mean, it sounds out of the way, but Dr. B, I know you know the answer. I know we all laugh at it, but water is tasteless. Water is colorless. But when we consume it, it comes out different. And then when you sweat, it tastes salty. Why all this?
So
Very good
water,
question.
I remember one of the things they taught us when we were growing up is that good water has no taste and no smell and no color.
Yes.
So right there, I mean, doesn't mean that you can't add your little things in the water like lemon and lime to give it flavor, but normal water should have no taste. Well,
Mm-hmm.
the reason is because, okay, let's put it this way, right? When you take water and you do laundry or you do your dishes, does the water come out looking the same?
No.
No.
So the water has gone through a process in the body, cleaning, rinsing, flushing, and
Mm.
all kinds of stuff. So yeah, the water is carrying dirt with it on its way out.
Wow.
Dirt and
Oh,
other things,
Yeah.
yeah, dirt and other things.
Yes, ma'am.
I just
So,
asked that question. Yeah.
Nyasom already knew the answer to that question.
I
And
know. I know.
Yes, he
but it's
wanted other
good.
people to be able to have that
yeah,
information too. Yes.
I
So
Yeah.
do because
water is your universal cleanser. You're cleansing your body. You're hydrating.
Yeah.
You're doing. I mean, what's the purpose of blood going around your body? It goes and supplies oxygen. It collects the dirt and brings it back. And on its way out, some of it is taken out in the kidney. Some of it is taken out in the liver, and so on. So some of it you sweat, some of it out. So the blood is that's what the blood does.
That's what it does.
And that's
wow,
why, for example,
awesome.
when somebody's kidneys fail, they have to dialyze you because they need to clean out your blood because it's collecting all this junk and keeping it, and they need to
Hmm.
clean it out. So that's why I say water is an amazing universal cleanser, and you cannot go too long or too far without proper hydration.
Yes.
I was going to mention something else too because I think it came up, but we didn't really talk about it. Caffeine. Caffeine is a
Yeah,
diuretic. Caffeine makes you
exactly.
pee. So when you're
Mm-hmm.
drinking caffeine, make sure that you're topping it off because I mean coffee has its benefits, and then caffeine too. So just make sure you're drinking enough fluids to make up for the water you're going to lose when caffeine sends you to the bathroom. And then the other thing too, alcohol is a diuretic, and anybody who has watched people drink, you can tell when they're drinking, they're actively peeing. Every time they drink, they go around the corner. Back at home, they just go around the corner of the off license and they pee and they come back. No hand washing, just pee, come back and continue. So alcohol is a diuretic. So if you're drinking, you better be hydrating. I mean, that's very hard to do, right? Because you have to choose between the taste of your alcohol and the taste of your water. Also, diabetes, elevated blood sugars, basically cause natural diuresis because the body is trying to get rid of the excess sugar. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
doesn't go in the cells, the body is trying to pee it out, which is part of why diabetes damages your kidneys because it's just overloaded with all of that stuff. And then for people that keep getting issues with their bladder, things like urinary tract infections, not hydrating properly just makes matters worse. Because again, remember, water is rinsing stuff out. If you think about standing water and think about malaria, parasites, and so on, when you have standing water, what happens? Those things just grow in there very nicely. Same
Mm-hmm.
thing when you have water just sitting in your bladder, or because the bladder is basically a water collection bag. As you're producing urine, the bladder collects it, and then at some point it releases it as pee, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so if you don't have enough water to flush that stuff out fast and quick, it's just gonna build up, and urine eventually bacteria is gonna start growing in there, and that's when you end up with UTIs. And so people that have UTIs, one of the things to do is don't hold your pee too much and make sure you're drinking enough water because if you're not drinking enough water, you just can't even pee properly anyways.
There you have it. I think we can take the run of the table,
Yes,
Dr.
yes.
B. Thank you so
This is
much.
this is very good. Very good.
Mhm.
Since you're on the go, you want to go first, or you stay?
Who are you addressing, Dr.
Yeah.
B?
No, I mean you.
Oh, me. Oh, yes, I'm on the go. All right, let me just go first. I
Yeah.
usually don't go first, but yeah, thank you so much, Nia. So I'm not gonna tell you guys what I'm doing because I don't want to make you guys jealous. But thank you guys so much, anchors. You guys are the best of the best. Thank you for accommodating this sister of yours, Dr. B. You are amazing, and we are going to undo all the dehydration among our people. So
Yes.
undo it by drinking
Undo
water
it. Undo
and
it.
taking care of this
Undo
thing,
it.
undo it. And I'm so excited you guys are coming to Ghana. So but I just want to encourage our listeners, please drink water, stay hydrated, keep an eye on your children and your parents. And if you're a caretaker, do what Ambassador Lisa does. Don't stop giving the elderly person water at night because you don't want them to wet the bed or whatever.
Right.
Please, yeah, there's diapers. Put diapers on them and give them hydrate them. Oh God, because we don't want their kidneys to fail. Like I told you, there are people that end up with multiple organ failure from dehydration. So let's help each other share this information with your family. And we thank God for this platform, and we thank God for our airtime because we can, stay on as long as we want. So, Dr. B, thank you once more, and I'll see you in Accra, Ghana, and your husband. Thank you so much. Over to you, Nia Song.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Lisa. You will have the
Thank
privilege of going now. Dr. B will be last, and she will take as much time as she wants.
Thank you so much, Nia Sung. This has been a delightful conversation. And you would think everybody would know these things, but we don't. We don't all know these things. So the things and the subjects that we come to you with on Africa Online are extremely important. And you may say, "Oh my, that's so irrelevant." But somewhere, somebody, especially on the continent, does not know this, and they need this information. So we are here to discuss a variety of topics that benefit our brothers and sisters on the continent and those of us here in the diaspora. We want to thank Dr. B again. She is a part of our family. She is on Africa's Brain Bank. And every time we need a speaker in the medical field, she is happy and delighted to come. Um, we are here every Sunday from 4 to 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. Again, we come with a variety of topics that benefit both the African and the diaspora. So go to our Facebook page, go to our YouTube, like, subscribe, leave your comments so that we know that you're watching, and share these videos with others who may need to know this information. God bless. Have a wonderful week. Nia Sung, back to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. B. I know I did not do a formal introduction, but I know Dr. B is always an in-house person and she never hesitates to come. You're welcome, and please take your time and round up.
Just a minute, Dr. B, before you do your final word, for those who are going to be listening to you for the first time, please take a minute and introduce yourself. And we've been on the air for 10 and a half years. You have been part of this organization as long as I can remember. So take a minute, introduce yourself before giving your last word. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Reverend Pam, Nia Song, Ambassador Lisa, and just everybody who keeps this platform running. It's such a privilege to be here. I'm grateful that God is allowing me to be useful. I don't take it for granted. I want you to know that. I am a board certified physician in preventive and lifestyle medicine, and also recently I've been practicing dermatology. And so it's been a privilege to just learn about the human being, the human body, and just how to optimize our existence. So hopefully that answers some of the questions here. Part of my background too is preventive medicine is public health. So I have a master's degree in public health. I'm very excited about helping people stay healthy. I understand the value of prevention and I always advocate for it. Yes, I advocate for other things too, but disease prevention is something that I'm excited about, and it is the key to good health, no matter what we're talking about. So I'm just gonna. I think we've already kind of talked about everything that can be said about dehydration in this kind of a forum. I just wanted to pull a few quick things out real quick. A few years ago, when Hillary Clinton was running for president, I remember one time she passed out and people threw a fit, but it was because of dehydration. She had had a cold a week before, and she got dehydrated and she got to her car and she fell down and they made a stink and they basically said she was incompetent. But I was like, this woman is an older woman. She's just been sick. She's not properly hydrated. So yeah, she got dizzy and she collapsed. And so these are real problems. And I put those pictures out there so that you can see that there's nobody that is immune from this problem. It's a human problem. As you go through the stages of life, from the beginning through the middle to the end, things are going to be changing, and you need to make sure that you're wise about how you conduct yourself. I also want to point out something, because a lot of people are afraid of heart attacks and so on. But a few years ago, a study came out and they actually found that heart attacks increased with increase in dehydration. And they found when people had, during the flu season, people tended to have more heart attacks. And the reason was because they got dehydrated. Remember we talked about when you get sick, you're losing more fluids and you're taking in. And not just because of the illness itself, but also because you lose appetite. Maybe your throat hurts, you don't want to drink, and stuff like that. And so people tend to get dehydrated. And then the risk of heart attack goes up, because when you get dehydrated, again, your blood gets thicker. When your blood gets thicker, guess who has to work harder? Your heart. Your heart has to work harder to pump this blood. It's almost like pushing water versus pushing sludge. I mean, it's not quite like sludge, but it kind of gives you a picture. Blood is thicker, it's more concentrated, it's harder to get through the vessels. And so the heart gets a heart that is already at risk now just goes into distress. So again, the list of things that can go wrong when you get dehydrated is long and endless. And it's because most of who you are is water. That's why when people die and they cremate them, what do you have? You have this little urn, and that's where you fit in because we've taken out all the water. So think about that. Most of what you exist as is liquid, and specifically water. So if you're not respecting the water portion of your body, you're basically not respecting your life and your health. Please take care of yourselves. I wish you the best and apply wisdom. Wisdom is the principal thing. It's going to buy you good life and good
Aw-
health. God bless you.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
It's been a pleasure, and we thank you all for coming, for listening. Please don't give up on Africa Online. We're always here. We'll do our best to always be here to give you the best that we can afford. And that said, have the rest of July to relax while preparing for August and the new month that is coming up. Thank you all very much.